going to do something slightly different. Normally when I do a review of the game, it's where I do the review, I type it out on my website, and then for the video version, I just show some clips of the game, and I read what I wrote. Well, I thought I would do it in the reverse order this time, and just go ahead and just start talking about the game. And today's game is going to be Rise of the Tomb Raider. I did do a Let's Look At for this video where I played about, 10 to 15 minutes of the game. Hell, it was actually probably more than that. Sometimes I go on long with those. But I played some of the game, and I went over my first impressions. And I finally completed the game, and decided it's time to do a review. I don't feel that I have to review every game that I play, but I love the Tomb Raider series, and I wanted to talk about it. So, initially jumping in, I was incredibly impressed with the way that the game looked on the Xbox 360. As I said in the Let's Look At, I wasn't really expecting a whole lot from the game, however, it still delivered a very good looking game. But the more I got into it, the more you could definitely see, I don't want to say shortcuts, I'm going to say you could see evidence that the game was just a downscaled version and a downgraded version of the Xbox One. In fact, when paired with the original Tomb Raider that came out a couple years ago, the original reboot, not the one from like 90s, the original one actually looks better than the new one on the 360. But, you know, once you get past that and you get into the gameplay and just get immersed in the game, let the story take over and the gameplay take over, what you find is more of the same from what you got in the first game, and that's a really, really good thing. The gameplay is solid. The climbing controls, while a little touchy, are virtually exactly the same as from the first game, so it's really easy to jump into and really easy to remember how to use Laura and all her controls because they're all exactly the same. The shooting feels good, but for some reason, I'm not sure what it is, the shooting doesn't feel as good as it did in the first game. There's just something slightly off about it. I'm not sure what that is. Regardless, the shooting feels great. You get a lot of weapons this time around, as you did last time, but you also get a bunch of different versions of the weapons, so you can select between different styles of, I'll talk about the revolvers or the pistols. So the pistols is typically what you tend to get earlier on in the game, and at one point I had two different revolvers and a semi-automatic pistol that I could choose between, and it was great. It was cool getting to choose between different styles of weapons that all had their strengths and weaknesses, and I really liked that this go around. You also get to create health items on the fly, so instead of waiting for your rebounding health to come back if you're injured, you can just create a little health item out of some herbs and instantly refill your health, which is also kind of cool. Little extra thing for the crafting that they're trying to implement into the game, which I thought was awesome. I also found that I was using my survival instincts a lot more in Rise of the Tomb Raider than I did in the other game, and I think the reason for that is because in Rise of the Tomb Raider, it seems like they tried to create more pathways in certain areas, so you'll get to a certain part of the game, many parts of the game, where there feels like there's branching paths, or the way that they built the environment is not quite clear where you're supposed to go. So as opposed to traipsing all over the place, I would use my survival instincts to go, okay, so the game wants me to go over in this direction. So I'm going to go ahead and have a little bit of an explore, and then once I'm done exploring, I know where I need to go. So I don't know, just the way I work, I like that. I want to make sure that I know where I'm supposed to go, and so I feel like I have more freedom to kind of roam and explore, and I'm not going to get off the beaten path, or I'm not going to get completely lost in the game. I also thought that the story in this game was pretty decent. I like the first one better, just because, you know, it's her becoming Laura, really. She's finally learning how to kill people, come to terms with that, and just growing into the character that we all know and love, and that was awesome. This one is a little bit different. I'm not going to get into it, really spoil it, because there are actually some parts of the story that I don't really quite understand. But from the gist of it, at least from what I understood, I'll be honest with you, I don't know what the fuck went on in that game, I'm sorry. I know that I explored around a little bit, I shot some people, the story got a little all over the place at times, and to be honest with you, I just kind of tuned it out. Partly also because the cutscenes in the game, at least on the 360 version, it was a very jarring transition from gameplay to cutscene, which kind of took me out of it for a little bit. But I know that Lara was tracking something down for her father, and these other people that looked like the Helghast from Killzone were trying to come and beat her to it. And there was some treachery, some double crossing, and yada yada yada. Shit happened. all I knew is that I was running around, I was climbing walls, I was killing people, I was blowing things up, and it was a blast. So, at the end of the day, normally, while I really care about story, and that's like a major driving force for why I play video games, I didn't really care about the story in this game. The gameplay was good. I'm absolutely going to play this game again when it comes out next year for the PlayStation 4, and I'm sure I'll play through it once again on the 360 again, just because I like the game. I played through the original Tomb Raider multiple times, and this game is, I feel, just as good as the original in most aspects. I still like the original more, but it's a good game in its own right. I will definitely play through it again. I would highly recommend it to anybody as well. I would recommend that if you have an Xbox One, to go ahead and pick it up for that system. As you can tell, the game was definitely made for that system, and the Xbox 360 version, while not an afterthought, almost kind of feels like it. So if you have the option, go for the Xbox One version, but if you don't have the option, instead of spending the $400 or whatever you'll need to buy the Xbox One plus the game, just go ahead and get it on the 360 if that's what you have. It's fun. It may be a little jarring at first to get past the graphics, just because, again, it has that look. There's lots of evidence that, hey, I'm a downgraded version, but you know what? It's still a blast to play. It's a fun time, and I'd highly recommend that you pick it up. So this is definitely more of a my final thoughts on the game versus an actual review, but I hope it helped you make your mind up if you haven't played it yet, or shed some light on the 360 version a little bit if you haven't really explored it too much. At least you got to watch some pretty graphics and some pretty shots from it. So again, have a good day. Please like or subscribe if you like what I'm doing. If you don't like what I'm doing, hey, let me know what I can do better. Your feedback helps me improve. Again, thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.